Hi everybody, I'm Bob Burnett, and I'll get going. I think it's around about 12 o'clock. I've got about an hour. I'll probably spend 45 minutes talking and then have question time afterwards. So I'm an architectural designer, and I'm based out of Christchurch, and I'm going to talk to you about New Zealand's first 10-star home. And there's only 2 10-star homes in New Zealand. We designed and built those homes. They were completed 1 year ago, and there's still the only 10-star homes. There's around about 30 innovations that are not common in typical New Zealand homes. I'm also going to talk to you a little bit about the superhome movement and what that is.
And that is also where I'm able to take photographs of the slides.
Yeah, sure. You're welcome. The question was, can you take photos? No problem. So it's very handy being in the changing sheds for the All Blacks and hang my coat on the hook. Just had to get my pointer. So this house here, this was a real testing bed for innovation and design and new eco-friendly ideas. And this was my own home that was built about three and a half years before the Canterbury earthquake. And believe it or not, we're still waiting for this house to be repaired. So most of the country probably think that Christchurch is all fixed, but there's still a lot of people, thousands of people, waiting to be paid by the evil insurance companies. But anyway, that's another story, and I can talk about that for an hour, but I won't. I'll talk about basically how you guys can get a much better house for your money and a much more comfortable, more delightful place to live that's warm, dry, energy efficient, and basically we don't get told the right information by the group home building companies because they're focusing on cheap, cheap, cheap. So super home movement's all about sharing ideas, and we think it's really important because in New Zealand we've got a building code that is not very good, to say the least. So the building code hasn't changed for a long time, and it's not likely to in the future. So this house here, we had a lot of innovative ideas that were very new at the time, and we had high performance windows, thermally broken glazing with low E glass, thermally broken foundations. They're properly broken now after the earthquakes. Not really, it's actually not too bad. It should have been fixed a long time ago. But anyway, this project was typical of what we were doing at the time. We were doing more sort of upmarket homes on the Port Hills, and through doing some of this one and some others, we learned what can be adapted to more affordable mainstream homes. Things that are just no-brainers, that don't cost any more to do. And these are ideas that I call it green by stealth. These are ideas that I just put into my designs without even talking about it. It doesn't cost any more money, or if it's cheaper, or if it's saving you money, then why not? It's really an easy thing to do. So I made some notes here today because I've done a few of these talks, and I usually at the end I realise all the things that I forgot to say, and I think those poor people, they didn't get that key information. And it really is a holistic approach to creating a good house. It's not just like, here's a list of things that might be good to do. It's like, if you don't get that recipe right, the right ingredients, and then you don't get your design right, a real sort of cohesive design that works well together, then you could be sort of wasting your time almost, or you could be not taking full advantage of what you can. And I think largely in this country we marginalise design. We don't value design. 90% of homes, probably 95% of homes, are built by group home building companies. Only 5% of homes are actually designed by an architect. So we're missing out on design. We're taking old technology, old plans, old ideas, and then trying to adapt those to sites. And that's problematic in its own right in some instances. Sometimes it works, but more often than not, it actually doesn't work. So I'm going to talk a little bit about custom design, pre-design, new typologies for houses, where we're heading in the future. We're going to see a lot more, we're going to see a lot less standalone homes on large greenfield subdivisions and with big sections. It's just not a sustainable dream, and I think we're going to see a lot more medium density and a lot more clever design, simple, smart, but higher density and closer to amenities and more connected. So that's the way the rest of the world's going. We're catching up. So Auckland have already said in their unitary plan that they're having around about a third less standalone sections and about a third more multi-unit medium density. In New Zealand we don't like it because we haven't seen it done well. We've got a bit of a stigma with it, and it's sort of like, not in my backyard, I'd rather have my 4 fences and my little patch. But the rest of the world have caught on, and we're catching up slowly. So that is the future, and yeah, so really Christchurch, we had the earthquakes, and it was kind of an opportunity squandered really. We had early on, straight after the earthquakes, we had I think called Share an Idea, and 106,000 people put forward ideas for a better city and what they wanted to see in the city as it was rebuilt. And largely that's been ignored. There was a strong call for green and energy efficient buildings and homes, and about 50% of the people, I think, were saying that. And we haven't seen a lot of solar panels, and we haven't seen a lot of better building. It's been business as usual, code minimum. I mentioned 10-star home. The building code level for a home in New Zealand is 3 stars. So to be frank, it's pretty crappy. And we're probably about 15 to 20 years behind some other developed countries, European countries and North America and so forth. So it's sad, but we've got a lot of catching up to do, but the opportunity is there to do a lot better, so if you look on the bright side. So, and it is a serious issue because our buildings, our building industry consumes 50% of the resources in the world, the raw material resources, and our buildings use around about 40% of the energy, total energy, and contribute to a third of greenhouse gas emissions. So if we can build zero energy homes, and we can, it's not too difficult, then we really should be doing that. We're not doing it at the moment. So I'll just see if I can get this to work. It's not working. Why isn't that working? Might have a flat battery. Anyway, I'll just do it here. So it's not working at all. Oh, there we go. We're away.
Do you want me to push the buttons?
It's okay. It might be working now. Yeah. Okay, so can't read that, but this is a book. By the way, I forgot to mention, my wife is my business partner too. She's a Japanese architect, so we're strongly influenced by Japanese architecture and design. What springs to mind with Japanese buildings and houses? Probably a feeling of tranquility and harmony and natural materials and colours, but also a really clever use of space. They are masters of using tight space and making it appear, giving the illusion that it's actually bigger than what it is, what the footprint is. And there's a number of ways that you can do that with the proportions and the openings in the windows and how you get light and things like that. So anyway, this book here is a great book about how to create there's a small section of text at the top here in English translated, how to build a zero energy house. And I said to Shizuka, my wife, there must be more to it than that, because there's all this kanji, all this Japanese writing here. And she said, yes, there is. They're just being polite. You know, they're incredibly polite, but it says how to build, all you need to know about how to build a zero energy house if you don't want to embarrass yourself professionally. So this is a book. This is a book that's written by an architect for other architects. So basically we created this project here as a demonstration project because we thought it was so important that you guys get the right information, and that wasn't happening. So this got quite a bit of press, and there was 2 homes there, a single story and a 2-story. I think this has got a flat battery, so I'm going to struggle a bit with that, but it doesn't matter. So the 2-story is actually our office. It's open for people to look through. There's guided tours every Saturday at 11 AM if you ever make it up to Christchurch. The single story, I sold that to a new building company that's just setting up, and they operate that as a show home and their office as well. So it was really great to do that project and actually get the interest of the public, and we used that as a kind of catalyst for launching the SUPERHOME movement, which I'll talk to a little bit later. So this house here, it's just being built at the moment, and it's a passive house. So it's the next step on from the 10-star level. So every project we do, we innovate, we learn new things. That's what gets us out of bed in the morning. If you know, we think that's our job, research and development, and as designers. And so this really should be an 11, but there isn't an 11. Actually, when they created the rating system, Homestar rating system, they said that they designed it so you couldn't get to a 10, so they were a bit pissed off when we created a 10. But anyway, this is what we need to be doing. We need to be continually improving. And we're not doing that at the moment. It's just the Kiwi number 8 wire mentality. Should we write, this is the way we've always done it, why would you do it anything different? Largely from the builders and home building companies, but also from a lot of the design community too. So we're busy making money doing what we normally do, not learning how to advance, use new technology, new ideas. So this passive house standard, it's all about air tightness, and it's a German standard, and there's 3 things here. So there's a minimum heating requirement, there's a minimum air tightness requirement, and if I get time I'll talk about that later. Air tightness is something that's really important, and it's absent from the New Zealand Building Code. There's a number of things that are not adequate or not fit for purpose in the building code, but there's some things that are just plain missing. So air tightness, it's so important, I'm going to talk about it now, just so I don't forget. So air tightness, 0.06 air changes per hour is passive house. The standard in Europe, the better European countries, is 1.5 to 3 air changes per hour. New Zealand, we have no standard, and most of our houses are about 8 to 10 air changes per hour. New houses, so old houses, like an old villa, might be 40 or 20 or something. So why is air tightness important? Well, if you compare, say, less than 1, or let's just say 1, with 10 air changes, that's 10 times the amount of air that is actually escaping out of the building, through the gaps, through the building construction, and that's 10 times the heat requirement. Just crudely speaking, maybe not quite exactly, but that's not the most important thing. The most important thing is that without an airtight membrane on the inside of the wall, we can get condensation inside our walls, and we do in New Zealand. So we can get an environment where mould can grow in the wall, and you can have black mould in the wall, and that's incredibly unhealthy. So we've got over 1 million unhealthy houses at the moment, and we're adding to it with new unhealthy houses, and that's a serious health issue.